Denver, the Mile High City, home of the NBA champions Denver Nuggets, Stanley Cup winning Colorado Avalanche, and a multiple Super Bowl champion football team that I'm particularly fond of. Just south of downtown lies Cherry Hills Country Club, the only course west of the Mississippi River designed by William Flynn, and the only course in the Rocky Mountains that's hosted a U.S. Open. In fact, the course has hosted multiple U.S. Opens, PGA Championships, U.S. Amateurs, and numerous other championship events over its storied history. Built on a former cherry orchard, the course opened in 1923. It rolls from a clubhouse bluff down to the banks of Little Dry Creek and back again, with holes aligned to views of the nearby Rocky Mountains. At over 5,300 feet above sea level, drives don't fly in the Denver altitude, they float. But the course is rarely overwhelmed when it's set up for major championships. Inseparable from the lore of Cherry Hills is Arnold Palmer, who electrified the sport and created an army when he charged to his come-from-behind victory in the 1960 U.S. Open. It's fair to say it was at Cherry Hills that Palmer became the king, and to play golf here is to play in the company of greatness. This is Every Hole at Cherry Hills Country Club. Believing he needed to shoot 65 in the last round of the 60 Open to overcome a seemingly insurmountable 7-shot deficit, Arnold Palmer lashed out and drove the first green, 346 yards downhill with a creek running along the right. He two-putted for birdie, then added 5 more over the next 6 holes on his way to that 65 and a 2-shot victory. Palmer remodeled the first hole prior to the 1978 Open, lengthening it to 399 yards to make sure nobody could replicate his feat. Today, it's 390 from the back tees, but is more frequently played from the famous Palmer tee for important events. The hole's real defense is a very subtle 2-level green. It's hard to sink a putt here. Cherry Hills has a unique routing similar to Muirfield in Scotland, with one 9 wrapped inside the other. Number 2, 3, and 4 play in the middle of the course over the flattest part of the property. 2 is a straight par 4 with bunkers down the left and a grove of trees on the right, making the fairway deceptively tight. The slightly elevated green is guarded by 2 bunkers in front and the course's main lake to the left, unseen from the fairway but definitely in play. It was here that Byron Nelson missed a 2-foot putt in a playoff to lose the 1941 PGA Championship. Depending on your strategy at the short third, you can line up your tee shot with one of the mountain peaks in the distance. It's a drivable par 4 that tempts big hitters into trying to fly a tee ball over the large bunker short of the green. But the more prudent play may be to lay up over the long cross bunker on the left for a pitch shot second. The green is unlike any other at Cherry Hills, an upside-down saucer that slopes away on all sides, and approach shots will frequently roll off the edges. Here at the 4th, a dogleg left, Flynn put 2 bunkers straight ahead to frame the corner and help set up the drive. Some might try to hit it over the tall dogwoods on the corner, but the percentage play is a tee shot aimed at the far bunker on the left that should get you past the trees for a clear shot into the large 2-level green that slopes left to right and back to front. The hilly terrain resumes at the par 5 5th, climbing up to an elevated green. Short hitters must get their second shots across Greenwood Gulch, and longer players have to decide whether to lay up or try a long shot over the large bunker in front of the green. This is one of the toughest green complexes on the course, with a massive 15-foot deep bunker, an unforgiving false front, and an inclined putting surface surrounded by grassy hollows. Players who try to overpower it usually end up paying a price. This is the only hole in the first 7 that Palmer didn't birdie in 1960. The green at the par 3 6th, The shortest hole at Cherry Hills sits in the shade at the base of 4 cottonwoods. It feels like it's set apart from the rest of the course. Modeled after the 11th at St. Andrews, it's an Eden hole with the green slanting heavily from the high back to the low front between 2 bunkers. You better be below the hole here, because when the green speeds are up, any putt moving downhill is not going to stop. William Flynn worked at Pine Valley in New Jersey, and Pine Valley influences can be found all over Cherry Hills. The par 4 7th is a version of that course's 12th, but instead of bending past a deep cavern of sand, it makes a sharp left around a field of bunkers. Once again, you have a choice. Either challenge the hazards to shorten the hole, or play out in the direction of the lone cottonwood on the bank of Little Dry Creek for a safer but longer approach. The green was extended 10 yards as part of a 2016 renovation, making a 2-putt no gimme. If you miss this long, narrow putting surface and find the left bunker or a 20-foot deep grass depression and creek to the right, it might be a harder recovery than at Pine Valley. The par 3/8 is Cherry Hills' continuously moving hole. The original one was upstream, closer to the 4th green. In 2009, the entire hole shifted 100 yards west and closer to number 7 to make room for new back tees on 9 and 16. Restless green syndrome struck again in 2016, and the putting surface was rebuilt 25 yards right and closer to Little Dry Creek. All the land slopes hard left to right, so the smart play is toward the left edge of the green. The first thing you notice about the 9th, other than how good it looks climbing the hill up to the newly remodeled clubhouse, is the big bulge in the left side of the fairway. Modern architects would probably cut it down for fairness, and in doing so, they'd lose one of the course's most interesting features. Drives that don't make it to the top of the hill roll down to the right and face a blind uphill approach over a bunker, and tee shots stuck behind the crown on the left also have limited visibility. The green is deep and angled, so most hole locations on this backbreaker play a club or 2 longer. From the 10th tees, you can see all the way to the Continental Divide, and it feels like that's about how far you can hit your drive. Like many holes at Cherry Hills, the 10th is all about the slope of the land. Everything moves right to left off the hillside, and the trick is to try to keep your drive from rolling out too far into the left rough. The slick right to left sloping green is a continuation of the fairway, spilling off the hill toward the back corner, and landing the ball on the front, or even short, and letting it release is often the best approach. Don't worry if you make bogey. Andy North did it 4 times in the 1978 U.S. Open and still managed to win by 1. Cherry Hill's second 9 circles counterclockwise around the first 9, and that's where the course's best topography is, demonstrated by the 11th. You almost can't make a par 5 long enough in the mile-high air, but at 622 yards from the back tees, this one makes a good effort, climbing uphill to the crest of the fairway where it gives you a great view of the green and cross bunker in the valley area below. The best way to approach the green is from the left, which requires challenging the middle fairway bunker with your second, but that's the garden spot where you can pitch into the upslope and keep the ball below the hole. Ponds and lakes were not used much as hazards in 1923, so the par 3 12th must have been a scary look for the original members. With its steep, shaved front bank and forced carry, it still is. There's no room to miss or bail out except short right, so you need to step up and hit a shot. Ben Hogan used a 4-wood to hit this green and made par all 4 rounds in 1960. Rory McIlroy 4-putted twice during the 2014 BMW Championship. Definitely a nice looking but mean playing hole. Aside from the mountain views, the firm, fast greens, and thin air, the defining course feature at Cherry Hills is Little Dry Creek, that twists through the western part of the course and factors into the shot options of 6 holes, including 4 on the back. During their long-range renovation of the course, architects Tom Doak and Eric Iverson have restored the creek, creating shallower, more playable banks and easing flooding during high water flow. The creek crosses in front of the green at the par 4 13th, but you can't see it from the tee, just the flagstick in the distance. Ideally, you want to hit your drive down the right side of the fairway over the bunker for the best angle into the small green banked into a hill. The putting surface can get very quick, as Jack Nicklaus found out in 1960. Leading the Open as an amateur, he 3-putted here from 10 feet and ultimately lost to Palmer by 2. The 515-yard 14th is a tribute to the world-class 13th at Pine Valley. From the tee box, it looks like you can hit it almost anywhere, but drives to the left frequently kick into a hidden bunker or down a steep hillside, while a tee shot toward the right of the wide crown fairway leave a much longer approach to this green nestled next to the serpentining creek. The great sports writer Dan Jenkins named this the best 14th hole in America. Usually, when you see a small green surrounded by deep bunkers and a creek on the left, you'd like it to be a short par 3. Unfortunately, the 15th typically plays over 240 yards in tournaments. To a tabletop green, it's hard to hit with any club, especially one with a head cover. Fortunately, the putting surface is one of the more subtle ones. Pitch gently toward the front left with small shoulders rolling in off the bunker edges. The front left part of the green was expanded in 2022 to create a great short hole location, as was a 150-yard tee closer to the creek, and the hole might be even better when the two are combined. The 16th is the third of Cherry Hill's iconic 5-hole home stretch. The tees have been lengthened by 60 yards, but the Bombers will still hit 3-metals and irons off the tee to avoid rolling into the creek that runs up the right side and then bisects the hole 115 yards from the green. A big kick slope in the fairway that tumbles down to the water makes it hard to find a level stance, and hanging lies often push balls into the right-hand bunker, where getting up and down is a challenge as the green races away toward the creek. In 1938, Ray Ainsley took 19 strokes, yes, 19, to finish the hole, the highest score ever recorded in a major championship. The 17th at Cherry Hills is an American original, a par 5 with Flynn's modified version of a Hell's half-acre bunker complex and an island green, another rarity in 1923. Doak and Iverson added the extensive cross bunkering in 2010 to better reflect Flynn's original concept, and the first line can come into play for big hitters. Despite the length and the no-miss target, half the field went for the green in 2 during the 2014 BMW Championship. The green is where it fell apart for Hogan in 1960. Trying to win an unprecedented 5th Open, tied with Palmer, his wedge shot approach spun back into the lake, leading to a tournament-ending bogey, a memory Hogan later admitted haunted him daily the remainder of his life. If you know golf history, the 18th is instantly recognizable with the lake running up the left and the green sitting atop the steep hill in front of the clubhouse. Members play it as a par 5, though it's a 480-yard par 4 in tournaments. But either way, the key is to steer the ball off the high right side of the fairway to get it down toward the flat part of the fairway near the water. Playing several clubs longer uphill, the front bunkers get plenty of action. Birdie Kim hit it into the right one during the last round of the 2005 Women's Open, then won the tournament when she holed out for 3, one of the great shots in Open history and just the 4th birdie on 18 the entire week. No matter what you score on 18, go ahead and throw your hat in the air like Palmer did after his victory in 60. You just finished playing one of the country's toughest tournament layouts, and a course that's been a mainstay on Golf Digest 100 Greatest Courses ranking since 1973. The 2023 U.S. Amateur will be a good test to see how this iconic layout stands up against some of the game's longest players. Conventional wisdom says the combination of mountain air and the modern game may overpower this historic course. My bet, Cherry Hills will be ready.